Hello, I'm Craig Cairns, President and Majority Owner of Hound Wrestling Wealth Management. I'm going to give thoughts on how to talk to kids and grandkids to instill lessons about finances and financial awareness. I would never say I'm an expert. I just have lots of years of practice because there are two crazy things about my kids. First is that I have 7. Crazy enough, but the crazier thing is that my kids range in age from 15 to 37. My wife and I started early and finished late, so we had lots of hits and misses along the way as the kids aged and we had more of them. And there are lots of do as I say and not exactly as I did in this StreetSmarts. While researching this piece, I asked my kids what financial lessons I imparted, which immediately made me want to cut them out of our inheritance. Things like 7 kids fit fine in one hotel room. You can only have water as a drink in a restaurant. And by the way, Dad is not allowed to order enough food to quite fill everyone. They also reminded me of my favorite quotes. I'm raising you without expectations, so you will never be disappointed. While I played the family theme song, You Can't Always Get What You Want, by the Rolling Stones. I mean, not bad lessons in my opinion, if you have 7 kids, but hopefully I did better than that. I do think it is important to instruct our kids, my kids call it lecture, to raise them so they don't need us. This includes financial lessons. It is human nature to want our kids and grandkids to do better in life than their parents, which I think can lead to simply handing them things. I believe one of the keys to happiness is earning your own way, and this is what I tried to instill in my kids. No forced expectations in how my kids will earn a living, just that they must, and they have to learn to save and invest their own money. I have found these lessons are easier when the parental means are less, but they can be tougher to remember to teach as the parental means grow. Our 15-year-old is growing up with an old and tired dad, and my inclination is simply to say yes, a lot more than I did with my older kids, which the older kids remind me of all the time. But I think it is worth fighting that temptation and work just as hard with him to instill the same life lessons. When our kids were younger, we tried a little bit of everything. We paid allowance. We tied allowance to behavior. We tied allowance to chores. If one has the means, I think paying allowance is a good lesson rather than simply handing over money on request. Probably our best effort was paying allowance and having the kids divide it 3 ways: a portion to spend now, a portion to save, and a portion to give charitably. If a kid is responsible for paying for part of the fun, it gives them a sense of the trade-offs. If they spend all their money in the here and now, they will not be able to save up for something larger later. All good lessons. And the discipline of saving is a critical one. When my kids were teenagers, there was no better way to learn about investing, I don't think, than investing with real money. I believe that funding a small investment account with some of their savings is healthy. Not all the kids were interested, but the lessons learned are good ones. My kids learned about risk, diversification, and timing, and what it is like to lose and make real money. When interns join our firm for the summer, we have them pick stocks, and I buy a small amount of each one so they can experience the pressures and the seriousness of potentially losing other people's money. So now when the kids get older and get their first jobs, we have hopefully started to instill in them the discipline of saving and the basics of investing. I supplement these lessons with the importance of starting early with their retirement plan and the power of compounding and tax-free growth. When they ask me how much they should put aside in their company 401k plan, I tell them that they should absolutely defer at least the amount of up to the company match. For example, if the company matches up to 3% of the amount they put into the 401k, they should defer at least 3% because they are instantly doubling the amount of retirement savings and would otherwise be leaving free money on the table. After that, it is a trade-off between enjoying their current lives, saving inside the 401k plan for retirement, and saving outside of the 401k plan for retirement or sooner. and which they value more, saving for retirement or saving for something sooner than retirement. To hammer home the importance of starting early, I love the popular example from JP Morgan Asset Management, A Guide to Retirement. In this example, there are two investors. I'll call them Sally and John, who are the same age. The early investor, Sally, starts at age 25. Sally invests $200 monthly for 10 years until age 35 for a total contribution of $24,000. She stops contributing but lets the money compound for 30 more years until age 65. The late investor, John, starts at age 35. He invests $200 monthly for 30 years until age 65. He contributes a total of $72,000. If both of their investments compound at 7.25% per year, at age 65, early investor Sally ends up with more money, $293,800, than late investor John, who ends up with $254,400, despite John investing 3 times as much money in total over 30 years. I also give each of my kids a copy of Morgan Housel's great book, The Psychology of Money, when they head off into the workforce. There are lots of lessons in the book, and it is a great book for young investors. There are 2 that stand out to me that I try to pass on to my kids. The first is to develop a plan and stick to it, and to not be caught up by what is happening in the market day to day. Younger investors have long horizons, and picking a plan that follows the rules of diversification, whether with ETFs or individual stocks, is important. The second lesson from Housel is that risk tolerance is most often shaped by first or early experiences. If you lose money on your first investment experience, it might make you less tolerant of risk. And vice versa. If your first experience is successful, it might make you willing to take more risk, even inappropriate risk. I remember when I was newly in the Army and found myself with $1,000 of savings for some reason. I invested a lot of it in a diversified mutual fund, which I had been told was prudent, in September 1987. 2 months later, it was $700. I fought the urge for years to be too conservative or to overreact to current events by doing the wrong thing at the wrong time, rather than sticking to my long-term objective. Of all these lessons, probably the most important lesson I tried to teach my kids is the discipline of saving and developing that discipline early. The investing lessons of what to do with these savings and the power of compounding are important supplements to those lessons. But if you forget all of these, you can always fall back on only order water when you're out to eat at a restaurant, because that $4 savings really adds up.